Okay, so I need to put the apostrophe here to show ownership, and actually I need to do it on this page too. Let me fix that. Tens place, ones place. I think that's it on there. Okay. Okay, so what I was saying was the doorbell rang, so I had to go. But anyway, so when rounding to the hundreds place, round up if there's a 5 in the tens place. That's just a little something to remember that'll help you out to make it a little bit easier. Okay, now let's talk about, hold on a second, how to actually do this. You don't have to write all this stuff, all these numbers and arrows and yada, yada, yada. We are not going to use a standard number line. We are going to use an open number line. Yay! Love open number lines. When you get the hang of this, it is going to save you time. It's going to make math easier. You can use this for the rest of your life. And you may even have a teacher that doesn't know about open number lines. You can show them and they'll be like, oh my gosh, you are an amazing genius. And we all want to be amazing geniuses. Okay, so when the directions say round to the nearest 10, always read your directions so you know what you're rounding to. Because you will have different size numbers, especially on tests. They like to do that to you. They tell you to round to the nearest 10 and then they give you like a 7-digit number. So you got to watch out for that. Okay, so the first one you might have is a number that just has a tens and a ones place. Now, since we are talking about place value, we are going to automatically do a place value chart because we're talking about the tens place. So I'm going to draw a place value chart around my number that already exists. Okay, this is my ones, this is my tens. I don't have room to write the whole number. If you wanted to, you could write it up here, however you want to do it. For me, I only need ones and tens. Remember, you always start on the right. So I have a ones place and a tens place. So I know that I'm going to be rounding to the tens, so I'm going to underline that so I remember. I need to identify the place that I'm rounding to. Now I'm going to draw an open number line, and for rounding you only need 3 vertical lines. 1, 2, 3. You're going to do this the same way every time, so it'll be super easy. Okay? Underneath the first vertical line and the last vertical line, I'm going to write my numbers in the tens. These are potential answers, so that's why I'm underlining them. That's why I use the underline, because you know they always give you like an underline place to write your answer. This tells you these are potential answers. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the place that the tens that I'm in. So when I'm counting, I'm in the 50s here. When there's a 5 in the tens place, I'm in the 50s. So I'm going to write 50 here. When counting by tens, the next 10 is 60. 50, 60, 70. So I'm going to write 60 here. Now, I need the number that comes smack dab in the middle. And I know from my remember rule, that there needs to be a 5 in the ones place. Where'd I put it? Yes. When rounding to the tens place, round up if there's a 5 in the ones place. So I know my number exactly in the middle is going to have a 5 in the ones place. So I'm in the 50s, so the number exactly in between 50 and 60 is 55. I'm going to circle this because remember, I circled those numbers here on my number line, keeping all my symbols consistent. That's really important in math. Okay, so I'm in the 50s, the next 10 is 60, the number smack dab in the middle is 55. Now I look at my number, 57. If I'm counting from 50 to 55, I'm not going to say 57. If I'm counting from 55 to 60, I will say 57. 55, 56, 57. So I'm going to identify where that number comes on the number line. Okay? And then I write what it's closest to. Now, it is not equal to 60, so I'm not going to use an equal sign. It's not the same as 60. But I'm rounding to 60. So use an arrow to show that 57 rounds to 60. Okay? Remember to keep your symbols the same, so we're always going to do this when we're rounding. You're going to have to do this when you add and subtract and multiply when you estimate. So it's important that you keep that arrow symbol in mind. Okay, so let's do a number with more digits. Let's do 264. We're going to follow the exact same steps again. I'm going to draw a place value chart around my number. Ones, tens, hundreds. Okay? I'm going to identify what I'm rounding to. It says to the nearest 10. So I'm going to underline the digit that's in the tens place. I don't care about this right now. Don't care about this right now. I just want the digit that's in the tens place. Now I'm going to draw my open number line. 3 vertical lines. Underline under the first one, underline under the last one. I'm not going to draw my circle yet because I want to make sure that my circle goes around my number and that it's not too squishy. So I'll draw my circle later. Okay, so now I'm in the 260s. When I'm counting by tens, I'd be like 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260. So this is the tens that I'm in, 260. Okay, if I'm counting by tens, I can cover up the 200 to help me, but I got to remember to put it back. So let's do this. Let's write the 2 here. Then I'm going to look at just this part of the number. If I'm counting by tens, the number that comes after 60 is 70. Okay, if you have trouble counting by tens, write your tens. Skip count your numbers on your paper. Just like this, write that on your paper. That will help you. Always, always, always write everything you need. Don't be afraid to write everything down. Show your work. Okay, nobody wins a special prize for not showing their work. What usually happens is you lose points because you get it wrong. Okay, off my soapbox. So now I want to think to myself, what number is exactly in between 60 and 70? Well, I know it has to end in a 5, so it's 65. And actually, it's 265. We keep that 200 consistent because all we're doing is dealing with the tens right now. Okay, so I have 265. Now I'm going to look at my original number, 264. If I'm counting from 260 to 265, I would say 264. 260, 261, 262, 263, 264. And then I would get to 265. So it goes here. It's smaller than 265. So it rounds to 260. Remember, these are my potential answers. This is not an answer. It's one of the underlined ones. It's closest to this one. So I draw my arrow, and my answer is 260. You know what? To help you out, to remember to do the correct one of these numbers, I'm going to underline my answers, because if I was working on a worksheet, that would be what I have to write my answers on as an underline. Okay, so now let's do one more number. Let's say they give us a number with a thousands place. So 4,015. Now you're thinking, this is hard. No, it's not, because you're only dealing with 15. Now, think of it that way. That makes it easier, doesn't it? And some of you may be like, well, I can do that in my head. But that's okay. I want you to follow your steps till you get super good at it. Like in 4th grade. As long as you're in my class, you're going to follow the steps. Okay, let's do our place value. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Notice that I always start on the right when I do my places. Don't try and start on the left because you could mess them up. Always start on the right. Plus, that's where you subtract from. It's where you add from. It's where you always start in the ones place for those things. So let's keep it consistent. Okay, so now we are rounding to the tens. So I'm going to underline my digit that's in the tens place. Okay, I'm going to draw my open number line with my 3 vertical lines. See, now I don't have to write this ginormous number line. I just make it a little wider because I know I have more digits to fit in. Okay, I'm going to have this 10 here and that 10 here. Okay, so now I'm just talking about tens. I'm in the tens place, so I'm going to put 10, but I need to remember, because this is part of my answer, the 4,000 part. 4,000, there's no hundreds, 10. Now, if I'm counting by tens, after 10 comes 20. I'm going to put the front back on. So 4,010, 4,020. Again, looking at just my last two digits, between 10 and 20, smack dab in the middle, is 15. So I'm going to write 15, and I'm going to put my 4,000 and 0 tens in front of it, and I'm going to circle it. Now I'm going to look at my original number. 4,015 and 4,015, they are the same number. So I know that I'm automatically going to round up because of my rule, mathematician rule. So 4,015 rounds to 4,020. And there's my answer. Okay, let's practice rounding to the nearest 100.